Plants are such wonderful things that bring so much joy to our lives. However, when it gets too overwhelming, it's time to downsize. Hello everyone and welcome back, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Matt, and in today's video I want to talk about how and when to downsize your plant collection. I feel like downsizing, decluttering, the whole underconsumption core trend is really at a peak right now. I see a lot of creators, a lot of people online talking about downsizing their plant collection. Some of us just do not have the time or capacity to take care of 100+ plants. And the first question is obviously, why even downsize? Like, what are the benefits of downsizing your plant collection? And for me personally, it is just regaining back my time. It's about regaining back the joy and love that I have for this hobby. Because if I have hundreds of plants that are just neglected and suffering, that doesn't bring me joy. That just makes me feel overwhelmed. And it is really difficult to keep up with plant care when you're feeling overwhelmed. You might also just not have enough time to take care of all of your plants. Maybe you have a full-time job. Maybe you have children. Maybe your lifestyle has just shifted in a way that doesn't allow you to take care of so many plants anymore. Or heck, maybe you're just tired of it. Maybe this hobby has just become boring. Maybe you are just not interested in plants anymore, and all of those reasons are absolutely valid. Whatever your reason for downsizing is, it is valid, and you should not feel guilty for feeling this way or for wanting to downsize your collection. I feel like there is a lot of guilt involved in this hobby because we are working with living beings. We are working with plants that live, that breathe, that grow. And obviously there is an element of guilt in that because it is a living thing. It's not just an inanimate object that you can just throw away or give away and just not think about it. There's always going to be that little voice inside your head that just tells you that you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. But ultimately, if it serves your mental health in a positive way, I think it is completely valid to downsize your plant collection for whatever reason. I feel like personally, I get stuck in this cycle of getting overwhelmed by my plants and then downsizing them, and then just buying new ones and getting overwhelmed again. So I think for me, one of the reasons that I want to kind of downsize and look at my collection and just really see who brings me joy is because I don't want to be in that constant cycle. I don't want to be bringing in new plants and then just getting overwhelmed. I want to bring in new plants and love them and care for them and see them grow up to be beautiful and not just get overwhelmed by the number of plants that I own. I personally own around 120 plants as of right now, and I feel like that is a pretty good number for me. Like, that seems like a pretty manageable number. I pretty much managed to take care of everybody. There are definitely plants that I neglect more than others. That's just kind of part of this hobby, you know. There's always just gonna be some plants that you favor and some that you're just like, no, you can go another week without water. But on the whole, I feel like that is a manageable number for me. However, I will say that managing 100 plants during the winter time and during the summertime are two completely different things, which is also another reason why you might downsize your collection. Because yeah, sure, maybe I'm able to keep up with 120 plants during the winter time where I don't have to water a lot, where there's a lot less pest outbreaks. Generally, my plants aren't really growing, so like I don't need to do a lot of repots, I don't need to do a lot of moss pole extensions. Once summer comes, obviously my routine will shift drastically because there will be just so much more to do, and obviously I will have to water a lot more, probably even twice a week with some of my plants, especially those in a chunkier aeroid mix. As of right now, I am very happy with, the amount of plants that I have. However, I am always on the lookout for just those plants that maybe aren't bringing me joy anymore. And I'm always thinking, who's gonna kick the bucket next? Because there are just some plants that I wouldn't mind seeing them go. Let's just say that. Another issue that you may be faced with are space issues. Because plants, they grow and some of them can be huge. For example, a monstera. Monsteras, you can buy like a cute little tiny monstera, but in 3, 4, 5 years, that thing will be a beast, and it will require so much space, so much light, so much water, and sometimes that alone, just a space issue, just having to find a spot for a plant can be extremely difficult and extremely overwhelming. And speaking of overwhelming, just taking care of so many plants can be overwhelming, especially if you're having a hard week, if you're sick, and in those times, even just watering your plants, just giving them the basic necessity that they need, which is water, is extremely hard. It is extremely hard. And if you are feeling overwhelmed by the amount of plants you have, that will only make the plant care worse for you. Now let's talk about how to actually downsize your collection. I like to go through my collection ever so often and just really look at everybody, really look at all of my plants and figure out who is bringing me joy, who I am excited to see grow up and mature, who has like a great potential, and who just really looks great in my space. I look at those plants and I'm like, you stay. And if I find a plant that just doesn't hit any of those boxes, like I'm just not excited about the plant or it's not looking good, then I think it's time to go. So I try to do that, I would say every couple of months. And I think it's a good practice to actually ask yourself this question of who is bringing me joy every so often, like every couple of months, just again, so you can keep things not overwhelming. Because if you let it pile up and then you have to get rid of 100 plants at once, it's a lot harder than if you get rid of 5 to 10 plants periodically throughout the year. I think it's a lot easier to just walk through your collection once a month and, for example, pick out one plant. It doesn't have to be anything major. Pick out one plant, look at it, and if it doesn't bring you joy, if you're not excited about its growth potential, let it pass on to a better life. Another reason why I might downsize a certain plant is because it's too much care, or I just don't have the right environmental requirements for that plant. Most houseplants are very resilient. Most of our houseplants are cultivated because they are so hardy and so resistant, and they can live in our indoor spaces where obviously the conditions are suboptimal. None of our houses are actual rainforests, and it's really hard to mimic the actual conditions that these mostly tropical plants live in. All of us have vastly different conditions. It really depends so much on where you live, because a home in Canada and in Indonesia have way different conditions. And obviously the person in Indonesia will probably have an easier time growing a plant. So if you struggle with the plant and it's just not doing good in your environment, I think that is a more than valid reason to just say sayonara. When it comes to downsizing your plants, there is that kind of guilt and there is that feeling of failure, at least there is for me, but I'm really trying to work on it and just kind of accept that this is part of the hobby. It is completely normal that not every plant that you bring inside your house will thrive, will do amazing, and you will love forever. I mean, our taste levels change all the freaking time. I don't know about you all, but I get bored really easily. Like, I just always switch up my wardrobe. I always switch up my hairstyles. I always switch up kind of the way that I decorate my home. It's just normal that I will also maybe get bored of a certain plant. For example, a year ago, I really didn't care for Hoyas, and now I'm obsessed. And who knows, maybe in like a couple of months, I will have a new plant obsession, like, I don't know, cacti or something like that. If you want to downsize your collection, the best thing that you can do is actually either give away a plant, maybe like swap it for something you actually want, sell it, donate it, just try to find it a new home. Obviously, that is the best possible outcome. However, I realize that that takes a lot of energy. And if you are, let's say, depressed or going through a hard time in life, and then you have to also take care of rehoming a plant, that is just additional stress that is not serving you. So I think I am of the high belief that it is perfectly okay to just take a plant and toss it in the compost. I know that's such a controversial topic in the plant community, but trust me, it's okay. It's your plant. You bought it with your own money at the end of the day. and you are allowed to do with that plant whatever the hell you want. You want to chop it up, do it. You want to give it away, do it. You want to throw it away, do it. It is completely on you. So for me, honestly, the easiest thing to do is just throw it in a compost. And it just feels so freeing to not have that stress looming over my head, because I don't want to go through the process of, taking pictures, advertising the plant, like setting up a meeting spot. And then what if it fails? Or what if the person is like nasty or whatever? There are just so many worries that come with rehoming a plant. And honestly, I would rather just get rid of it, call it quits, and let it meet its creator. And at the end of the day, it's going in the compost. So it's gonna be useful for something. It's gonna move on in its life, and it's gonna provide nutrients for maybe another plant. I believe it is okay to throw away a plant. If you disagree with me, obviously you have the right to disagree with me, and I support you in rehoming your plants and finding them actual good, lovely homes. But for me, I think it's okay to throw away the plant. Downsizing your plant collection can be so freeing, and it can really just make you appreciate and have more joy for this hobby. So I definitely encourage you to downsize, now and then. You don't have to do it all the time. You don't have to do it in large batches, but just downsizing now and then can really help in the longevity of this hobby and keeping it fun for longer. I feel like in 2025 and moving forward, I really want to focus on curating my collection. I don't want to collect more, I want to curate it. I want every single plant in my collection to be a star. I want them to shine. I want them to have pretty cover pots. I want them to be in nice setups. I really want to unlock their full potential. And I really, really think that curating should be kind of our top priority and collecting the second one. But obviously, if you love collecting and if you have like hundreds and hundreds of houseplants and you love it and you're not feeling overwhelmed, go for it. Freaking go for it. Do it. Don't let anybody else tell you that you're wrong. If you love, I love the jungly look. Okay, I really do. I don't think I will ever go down to, just having like a couple of plants dotted around here and there. I really want that lush jungly look. But I understand that some people maybe don't want that. And maybe some people want like a super jungly look. And that is all fine. As long as you're happy and you're enjoying this hobby, that is the only thing I wish for in this world, that we all just enjoy this hobby, because it is such a beautiful, a lovely thing. Having houseplants in our home environment, having a piece of nature, a living piece of nature in our home environments is truly a blessing, and I think we just need to appreciate it. And whatever you have to do to appreciate your plants more is obviously the good thing to do. Let me know in the comment section below if you are downsizing your collection this year, or maybe you're upsizing your collection. Who knows? Maybe you're like, I have too little plants and I need more. I would love to know, and let me know what you think about this topic in general. I would really like to chat to you and obviously hear your opinion, because I really care about your guys' opinions and I love hearing from you. But until next time, I hope you have a fabulous, super amazing day, and goodbye. What was I talking about? I can't remember. Oh well.